بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. In the last class, we talked about taking the property of the orphans unjustly. And we discussed that and the sin in misappropriating the property of the orphans, their wealth, their things, all of this stuff. So the next chapter in greater sins is discussing usury or riba. He says the ninth greater sin is usury. That is classified as a greater sin, is clear in traditions recorded from Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Imam Ali, Imam Sadiq, Imam Kadhim, and Imam Jawad alayhimus salam. He says, according to the Quran, taking interest is a sin that incurs divine punishment. The punishment for usury in the Quran is even more severe than other sins. It says in Surah Al-Imran, "O you believe, do not devour usury, making it double and redouble, and be careful of your duty to Allah that you may be successful, and guard yourself against the fire that has been prepared for the disbelievers." This is in Surah Al-Imran, ayat 130 and to 131. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the usury? What is riba? So riba is in two different types. We have usury in selling and usury in loan. I have some useful information about that from one of the books from Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi. We talk about, he mentions riba. He says the relationship between one's efforts and the amassing of wealth and the importance of participating in the risk of losing one's wealth, as well as increasing it in any economic transaction. That is why riba or interest is forbidden. So basically, riba is taking advantage of situation. When Islam says that we should care about people, their well-being, their family, society, we should want to help people. But people who charge interest, they're not looking to help people. They're looking to find people that have a need and take advantage of the need and say, okay, I have something, but you really need it. Instead of me helping you and giving it to you and lending it to you and just get it in return, they say, no, we want to give it to you and you have to pay me more than that. So he says, let me get down to the part about the types of interest. So interest in selling, for example, we cannot do interest in things that are weighed, things that you weigh things for, such as gold or this type of weight, like with grain and wheat and things like this. It cannot be the same type of commodity. And also things that are measured in length, like fabrics and things like this. So I cannot sell you 1 yard of fabric for 2 yards of fabric or something like this. Or I cannot sell you 100 kilos of wheat for 110 kilos of wheat. But the things that are sold in numbers is okay. I can sell you 10 eggs for 11 eggs because eggs maybe are different shape and size and weight and things like this. So in selling, it cannot be the same commodity and it cannot be things that are sold by weight or by length. Mostly when we're dealing with interest, it's not in the selling side, it's more in the loan side. So I cannot loan you something for more than that. And this would be called riba. For example, this is dealing with each other, with Muslims. For most mujtahideen, they have said that dealing with riba or interest with non-Muslims, they allow it. But also it's good to, even though something is allowed doesn't mean that we have to do it as well. If we can help someone, even if they are non-Muslim, we have to think about their situation and help them as well. So you see with the also, in the West, our situation is built on interest mostly. For example, you want to get a mortgage, you want to get a car, you want to get this, and there's no other way around it. If you don't get the loan for the car with interest, you have no way of moving around. If you cannot get to work, you cannot, it's a necessary tool for you to get to work in some cases. Or you need a house, but there's no way for you to get the house without going through this. In this case, it removes the difficulty, allows you to be able to get involved with that type of loan, for example. So this is just some things about riba. For example, riba and loan, he gives an example. If a person were to sell 100 kilogram of wheat for 110 kilogram of raisins, it would be legitimate transaction, because we see that, it's more than 100 kilogram, but it's not the same commodity. If you were to sell 100, and if you were to give 110 kilogram to someone for 100 kilogram of wheat to someone for 110 back, then this would be riba. But for different commodities, it is not riba, because it's not the same thing. Okay, so this is just some overview before we get into the subject matter. Goes a lot deeper than that, but this is just some of the things. And the reason why riba is forbidden is because we said that it is not trying to help society. It is the people who have, they should help people, but instead they are taking advantage of people and in their weakest moments, and making their life even more difficult by saying, I loan you, but I will want double, or I want some money back on this thing. And we cannot charge anything on the loan. If you charge the loan, for example, and you want something else, in return for that loan, extra than that thing, even if it's not, even if it is, something that's a service, or you say, for example, I will give you this loan for $100, but I need $100, and that you come and clean my house or something. You give me transportation for the next month and you bring me $100. This is something extra. Cannot do that. So that would also be usury. So let's get to the text. I thought it would just be bring some examples of usury so we can kind of get a general idea about what we're talking about. He says, according to Quran, taking interest is a sin that incurs severe punishment. We mentioned this ayat, Surah Al Imran. He says that the ayat means that the fury of the fire is prepared for those who take interest will be just as intense as the fire prepared for the disbelievers. So taking interest, taking advantage of people, being a loan shark and these type of things is the same type of punishment, is same for disbelievers. So it shows how severe that is. And another ayat in Surah Baqarah, ayat 275, Allah says, those who swallow usury cannot stand except as one who shaitan has, as like shaitan has touched him, how he would rise. That is because they say trading is only like usury, and Allah has allowed trading and forbidden usury. They are different. To whomsoever then the admonishment has come from his Lord, then he desists. He shall have what has already passed, and his affairs is in the hands of Allah, and whoever returns it, these are the and whoever returns to that usury, these are the inmates of the fire, and they will be in it eternally. So the author, he says, when we look at the ayat, that the person who is taking usury, he will remain in the fire eternally. He said there's no salvation for him, because it says here that he will be there eternally. And he mentions that Allama Tabatabai says in his Tafsir al-Mizan that the punishment ordered by Allah for usury is so severe that such severity is not mentioned even for disobedience to the furu'ad-din, such as salat and zakat and all of these things. The usury is even, the punishment is more for this. It's one of those things that tears apart the fabric of society, and it's not what Islam is built upon. Islam is built upon taking care of society and caring for other people, whereas this will tear down society. Says another equally serious offense is to nurture friendship with the enemies of Islam. The direct ill effects of usury are clear and evident. Hoarding of wealth increases the disparity between the rich and the poor. Poverty is a sickness that can degrade and humiliate its victims, erode his values, and destroy his morals. This turn leads to corruption, theft, murder. So imagine you take a loan from someone, and if you cannot pay the loan back, maybe in some countries, if you take a loan, you go to jail if you don't pay the loan. Some Middle Eastern countries, some of my friends were telling me, you don't pay the loan for the house. It's not like here, you go bankruptcy and you cannot pay and you put it off, and the debt collector come after you and try to get some money later. No, they'll take you to jail for that. So in these cases, someone says, my life is on the line. I need to pay this loan back. So what did they do? They resort to crime, stealing. They'll rob someone to get the money to pay the loan back. When in Islam, Allah is telling us other places that we have to give respite to the person. We have to have mercy on the person. If they cannot pay, we should, extend it. We should not be harsh on them and demand the payment. Also, the person who is taking the loan shouldn't take advantage of that either. Has to be balance in this. He said the direct ill effects of usury are clear and evident. This turns to corruption, theft, and murder. Those directly responsible for destroying the social equilibrium are the hoarders, who amassed wealth, and thus it was unavailable to those who needed it. The total disintegration of the social fabric can precipitate a civil war, and further a world war, which brings with it only death and destruction. In the world of today, with the advances of the nuclear and chemical weapons, war does not only bring death to humans, but it leaves them sick and maimed and deformed for generations to come. So this debt, imagine, is one country is giving money to another country with interest involved, and then that country gets in severe debt, and the other country is claiming the money they want from them, and this country has no choice. They don't have the money, then they fight. And other people get affected by those, not just the one who lent the money and the one who took the money, which would be the government officials, but the whole of society gets affected by this situation. So it can lead, if we look at it as maybe something small, but it could lead to something very big and destroy everything. It says the direct ill effects on the Muslim society as a result of friendship with those opposed to Islam are also clear and evident. History has recorded that friendship with the enemies of Islam can only be bought at a price. The price is, in this case, is to compromise. Compromise on the tenets, the culture, and the spirit of Islam, till the time comes when the country loses its identity as an Islamic society. As we have seen in some places, that some Muslim countries have compromised so much that they are doing things that are totally un-Islamic and allowing things that go totally against Islam in order to appease the West. we should coincide and coexist with people peacefully, those who don't have any ill will towards Islam. But we shouldn't compromise our principles and our values. Unity and coexistence are different things. Unity, we can say, is when you are coming together and saying we are one. We are one and the same. We are all together. I take some of my things, you take some of your things, and we are together one. Coexisting is saying that we are getting along. We have no problem. We have no fight with you. You have no fight with us. You are, you are practicing your way, and we are practicing our way. We are respecting you to do what you want to do, and you are respecting us to do what we want to do. We are not bending our beliefs to appease someone else, and they are not bending to appease us, but we get along okay. Sort of like we do here in America. Maybe we have we are a Muslim house, but the house next door is Christian. House next door, then that is Jew. House next door, then that is Hindu. House next door, even Kafir, atheist. All of these people are living in the same neighborhood, and they come, hi, how are you? Are nice to the other person. Maybe is move the snow off of their car, or take their trash can back in for them if it's left out too long, or helping them if they have something heavy to carry. These type of things. We are coexisting. We're doing good towards them. They are doing good towards us, but they are believing their way and we're believing our way. We shouldn't take advantage of situations and other people. If my neighbor, for example, needs $20, I shouldn't say, okay, he's kafir, he's non-Muslim. Here's the $20 to give me $30 on Friday. How would that affect the relationship with my neighbor? He's trying to take advantage of me, charging me this high rate and things. And why couldn't he just give me $20 as we know each other, and these type of things? But if you give him a gift and just say it's $20, whenever you want to, you can give it back, no time or anything. Say, wow, he really helped me, or she helped me, and they will think good of you. So we can see how people even will look at the usury as something reprehensible. But it's gotten to the point where we don't look at it as bad. Society, I mean, as a whole in the West, does not look at it as bad because with cars and homes, because this is the way they have been conditioned to look at it. Even though it is something very bad, but people got accustomed to it, and now it seems normal. It's similar to these shootings that we have in America. And at first, probably the first one, everyone was appalled. Can't believe it. How could someone go into a school and shoot children who have done nothing? Everyone is upset, and it shakes them, and they feel, very upset about it. Cry and say, how could those children die? But now we have so many shooting in the school, for example, that we see on TV, and they say, oh, it's just another one. Okay, yeah, it happened, and they move on. It doesn't even affect. It's totally numb to the sin. And this is how sin is. You do it the first time, you feel guilty. You do it the second time, you feel a little bit bad, but maybe not so bad. By third, fourth time, you are completely numb to this. It's like whatever, it's normal thing. This is the same thing with the usury. So we do it one time, if it doesn't feel bad. Over time, people just accept it as a normal thing. But the normal thing should be caring for one another and looking after each other. Wanting to uplift people and not take advantage of them and push them down. So he says the verse of Surah Baqarah, which is quoted above, says that those who take usury, interest on loan, should be counted among the crazy people, Majnoon, the people who have Shaitan has touched. On the day of judgment, people will recognize them from their madness. that they have been taking usury. Their sanity would be destroyed, because in this world they have acted against intellect and divine law. They have been oblivious of humanity and the needs of humanity. They did not treat equitably with others and disobeyed the law of cooperation. Actually, these people had been insane in this world because they had followed the direction of Shaitan and performed such insane acts. So Allah is telling us not to do these things, because these things will tear apart fabric of society, create hostility between each other, create a huge divide between the rich and the poor. And it's something that Shaitan would encourage people to do. He says, is trading and usury the same? Because this is what people were saying in that time in the ayat, that trade and usury are same thing, so it's okay. The author, he says, this argument is obviously foolish. He said there is nothing comparable between interest and trade. There is equity in business transaction because there's a mutual agreement between the two parties. In both parties, there is risk involved, whether to gain or to lose in this transaction. In trading, a seller sells an article to the buyer at a mutually acceptable price to both, and the matter ends there. But taking interest is a clear-cut case of exploitation of the other person, because they wouldn't do the loan without that condition. The condition has to be there for them to loan you that. He said a person who has excess or surplus money, which he doesn't need, he lends it to someone who is desperately in need. The needy person agrees to pay interest that he can't afford, not because it's acceptable to him, but because his situation is making him do that. He says, if I don't get this car loan, I will not be able to make it to this job that I have been offered, and I will eventually lose everything because I don't have a way to work. If I don't get this loan for this house, I will not have a place to live. If I don't get this loan and pay these payments, these people will come after me and maybe put me in jail for not paying the payments. So it's not something he wants to do. No one wants to do that, but the situation is forcing them to do that. And the people who are well off, they say, I can take advantage of those people who are in that situation, and I will charge them, and I will get even more money. And I don't need any money. I have plenty of money, for example. I have more than I need. But instead of helping people, I'm taking advantage. That's the problem with this, the root of it. He says, undoubtedly, usury is an unjust and oppressive evil. It's against human nature and human dignity. It increases the riches of the wealthy and drives the impoverished to further deprivation. Understandably, the exploited poor people, they start hating the people who are wealthy. And then they get a lot of built up hatred inside. And then they have to let out that hatred. And what do? They attack other people, or they do revolution, or a lot of blood gets shed. For example, the person cannot pay. And this, let's say one corporation or one group of people, a family, they are taking advantage of all of the society in that town. And they have all of them in their pocket. They are giving them money with high interest rates. And no one can survive, and everyone is in debt to these people, and they are making their life miserable. They are getting together and they say, we should just instead of paying them, maybe we should just get together and kill those people so we can be done with them, and then we all are free from our debt and we can start over. Imagine it could happen. So it could lead to something worse. He says, Islam says that earning should only be in return of efforts and work, because capital itself cannot do anything without work and without any effort. The wealth of the rich man should not be increased by taking usury. Increasing wealth by usury is the easiest form of making money, but Islam forbids that. He said, wealth cannot be accumulated by forcing the helpless poor into further destitution. Usury it does exactly that. And it causes economic imbalance, and it tramples upon the rights of people, equity, justice, all of these things. He says there's a Maulana in Pakistan named Sayyid Abul A'la Maududi, and he wrote a comprehensive and interesting book on usury that describes all the evil effects of it, and has a lot of statistics for this if someone wants to look further into that. Most likely on maybe in Urdu or Farsi, I'm not sure. He says the needy person, when they're taking these loans, they end up returning not only the amount that they got from that person, but they end up giving a lot more than that. Like when you look at the loan and you look over the period, how much you would pay. It's interesting. I've seen that some people in America, they have student loans, and the money they have borrowed, they have already paid back that amount over time, but they still owe more now than the original loan because of the interest rates. They owe more than before, which is taking advantage of people, their need for education, so that they can be productive in society and maybe get some type of job that they need education for. For doctors, for example, they need to go study medicine. They take the student loan, then they get in debt for the student loan, and they keep paying, but the interest rate is driving the payment so high. He says the excess can even amount to more than the principal amount if the repayment is delayed. This is the example I'm giving for the school loan. Taking interest imposes an excruciating financial burden on one who is already needy and is nothing short of blackmail. Needy people should be given loans without interest. This promotes a feeling of friendship, cooperation, charity. So this is what I'm saying. The root behind the usury is taking advantage of people, while the helping people and giving them charity and loan, it creates harmony with society. But usury creates a resentment for those corporations that are taking advantage of them. They say, I took this loan so I could go work and help people and do things in society and contribute to my society, but they are charging me so much for this that I have to work long hours and I cannot pay the loan, and it's taking all of my check to pay this off. He says to give a loan on interest not only destroys the economic balance in society, it also inflames the feelings of hatred, enmity, and selfishness. There are a lot of disadvantages of taking interest. The earning of those people who take riba, they lose barakat, they lose blessings, whereas the earning of hard labor or working in trade and these type of things, it has barakat. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa said in Wasa al-Shia, it's mentioned that worship consists of 70 parts. The most important part is the halal earning money lawfully. Also, he said the truthful trader, the one who does trade, shall be counted among the prophets on the day of judgment. His face would glow like a full moon. So trade has benefit, work has benefit. We see other narrations as those who go out and work and provide for their family, they will be counted as one like who died fighting in the way of Allah. So we see that has benefit, but just loaning, there's no risk in that. To loan, you're going to get the interest back, the loan with interest. It's not really working. You were just taking advantage. He says another misfortune of the one who takes usury is that he loses trust in Allah. He does not pray to Allah to give him barakat. All his hopes are in that interest that people will bring to him, that he will collect from people, from those people who are in debt to him. And he says that this is a type of shirk, because you're not putting your hope and trust in Allah that he will provide. You're putting your trust in all the returns of these interest loans. It says another point is that in normal business, there's a possibility of both gain and loss. So the businessman not only puts in sincere efforts, but he also prays to Allah for success in his business and to make profit and to be, successful. A person who does usury has no fear of loss, and he feels no need to pray to Allah for his rizq, to increase his sustenance. So the author says he's deprived of an important facet of the religion. The one who takes riba is deprived of thawab. They don't get the rewards that are prescribed for giving a loan. We have, in Quran, you give loan, you get a lot of times in return for that loan. But if you take riba, you're not getting this benefit of loan, and you are also getting a sin that Allah is saying is same as the disbelievers. He says if there are 10 merits in giving sadaqah, the interest-free loan has 18 merits. The interesting thing is that the loan gets more reward because than the sadaqah, because when you give a loan to someone, the interest-free loan, the loan is protecting the honor of the person, and the taking the loan protects their honor. But when because they are paying you back and they feel okay I borrowed but I'm giving it back, it have an honor to that. But with the sadaqah, the person taking the sadaqah maybe feel like I couldn't do anything for myself, and I had to go and they had to give me, and I cannot even give back, and this type of thing. So he says that if there are 10 merits in giving sadaqah, the interest-free loan has 18 merits. An interest-free loan is therefore more rewarding than sadaqah in the way of Allah. A person who gives respite to his debtors and those and doesn't take interest is given a reward that is equivalent to charity of the said amount every day for the number of days that he extends. So it's better that we even extend the loan for the person, that they can pay it in the time that they are comfortable. If we are not in need of it and we have its excess, it's better to just extend for them if they need to. And we get equivalent of sadaqah every day that for the amount that we have loaned them every day for each day we extend the loan. The author says it's evident that the usurer does not qualify for any of these rewards. In fact, he's afflicted with being stingy and greedy, which only increase by the day. And he says, surely the result of being stingy and greedy is hellfire. We notice that those people who have the loan sharks, they prey on the people, they are on top of them. Where is my money? You need to pay me my money. I need my money by this date. If you don't have my money by this date, you will get a fee. I will give you fine. I will double the thing, and all sorts of stuff. So it's definitely not good, and it's definitely not something that Islam would promote. Islam promotes harmony in society, to be easy with people, not to be on top of them, demanding and all these type of things. So he says, we have already seen from the verses of Holy Quran, the sayings of Holy Prophet, and from Imams alayhimus salam, that the punishment for usury is more severe than other sins. We have also discussed the reasons for this. Islam classifies usury as the greatest of the greater sins, and its punishment is the severest of all punishments. If the usurer does not repent for his actions, his end will be with the disbelievers and those whose eternal abode is in the hellfire. He says, brings ayat, Surah Baqarah, ayat 275, which we have read, that saying that whoever returns to this usury are in the fire of hell for eternity. He said there are certain ways that person can compensate for this sin. and pray for istighfar, for forgiveness. Certain sinful acts are forgiven just by doing tawbah or repenting with ikhlas, with sincerity for forgiveness. And certain, if a polytheist repents, for example, he turns away from his sin of shirk and he becomes a Muslim, a great sin like this is forgiven. He doesn't have to do anything after that. It's done. It's forgiven. But there are some sins that require to do something else. For example, you have taken something from someone. For example, someone steals the car. They cannot just go, Ya Allah, please forgive me for stealing Zayd's car. And Allah will forgive me, and I keep driving Zayd's car for the rest of as long as I want. No, in order to get the forgiveness, I have to ask Allah to forgive me, and I need to return what it belongs to the owner. I have to return the car back to Zayd. When we miss our salah or our fasting, we cannot just say, Ya Allah, forgive me. We have to do qada. We have to settle those things also. It takes more than just this. So some things, we have to compensate for. He says that along with repentance, he must perform all those prayers and fast. For example, we have to do that. Similarly, in the case of taking interest, the person who is asking forgiveness should give back the amount that he has taken interest from the people he has given the loans to. He should remit that and give that back, and also do istighfar. So you see here, yeah, I think we have run out of the time, and inshallah we can finish this section next week. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.